Good morning, everybody. Thank you for stepping in and taking a few minutes to see what we have to offer about correcting year-end filings. My name is Bruce Sentai. I'm a manager with Atrix Software. I've been here for 20 some odd years, longer than anyone ever expected, but probably especially me. But so I know a thing or two about W-2s. Atrix handles millions upon millions of W-2s, 1099s, and 1095s every year. So this is just a reminder of how to do corrections. We're in that time of year now. People are, your employees and your recipients have received their documents, and they're going to start knocking on your door or picking up the phone and saying, hey, I think this is wrong. And you'll need to know what to do, how to correct those year-end filings. We're just going to cover the three primary documents. We're going to cover W2Cs, how to correct a 1099, and then take a look at ACA. ACA, we're going to be a little vague on some of that because, frankly, you probably need help with those corrections because there are so many exceptions and so many detailed regulations involving ACA that you're just safer having your provider take a look at them or make sure that that you're correcting those documents in the right way. Obviously, one of the primary reasons why you want to get this done, first of all, you want to get it done because your employees and recipients have to have correct information in order to file their own taxes, and your employees are anxious to get their refunds and get things done. The other thing is, of course, the IRS and the SSA are fairly unforgiving. When things are not done appropriately, they will levy fines and penalties. The penalties are essentially the same for no matter what your failure is. If you don't file electronically when you're required to, of course, we all know that this year that number went down from the 250 that we've all been used to 10. And that's a total of 10. So that's a total of 10 W-2s, 1099s, and ACAs all together. So virtually every person who's filing, every business that's filing year-end reports is doing them electronically now. If you fail to do that, that can be a penalty this year. If you have mismatched tax IDs, late filings, failure to correct inaccurate filings can lead to fines that are up to $310 per form if you do it in a reasonable time frame. In 3 to 6 months, if you get those things taken care of, the fines will only be that. They actually get larger after that, and they can get very, very painful if they determine that you did it willfully. So W2C, it's pretty simple. It's a separate form that the SSA provides in order to correct W2s. W2s that need to be amended with the W2C when there's an error of virtually any kind. If it's an ID number, a TIN mistake, an amount is wrong, a withholding amount is wrong, all of those things require it. So a short list of the most common items are somebody changed their name. Perhaps they got married or whatever, and they changed their name. They forgot to tell you, or you forgot to change it in the system. You do have to have the correct name. Wrong social security number, could be a typo, could just be a mistake that was in your system. Incorrect address, they moved and they didn't tell you. Incorrect tax year, you grabbed an old file, or you grabbed the wrong group of data. Incorrect amounts on employees' earnings or tax withholdings. That could be just a withholding error, a regulation you missed, anything that would affect the actual amount that has been withheld. So essentially, any incorrect data that you have on a W-2, you will need to use the W2C to correct it. So you use the W2C. It should be submitted as soon as you know there's a problem. So if someone reports to you on Monday that they made a mistake or that there's a mistake on their W-2, you really should start fixing them almost immediately. I know that it probably is something you would feel like maybe I'll wait and see if anybody else has a problem and I'll take care of them all at one time. Problem with that, of course, is sometimes you forget to go back and get that done. I would recommend you change them immediately. If somebody calls you up or says you have there's a mistake, research it, find out if in fact they're correct, and then get your W2C done. When you send the W2C to the Social Security Administration, you got to send a new W3C as well with the proper transmittal form. You have to have both, because especially if there's a title change, but in particular, or if there's an amount change, those all show up on the W3C. But anytime you change a W2, you have to file that W3 along with it. 1099s are quite different. 1099s have two separate processes depending on the type of error that is occurred, and there is no separate 1099-C correction form. You use actually the exact same form that you used when you filed originally. You maybe didn't notice, but there's a little box at the top of it that says corrected, and you would have to check that box, and that'll make it a 1099 correction. There are two types of errors. Type 1s only require that you file the 1099 and correct the error. Type 2s require that you file two 1099 forms to be filed and to make a correction. And we'll go through those real quick. Type 1 errors are you have an incorrect amount. You sent them one for $1,000 and they actually were paid $2,000, that kind of thing. Incorrect code or a checkbox, an incorrect name or address for the payee, and if you filed the wrong form, when you filed it, if you use the wrong form, you have to go ahead and get those corrected here too. But if you file a form, excuse me, if you filed a form when one should not have been filed, so they earned $585 and you filed a form for them, or you filed a 1099, you'll just send out another one and put all zeros in it so that it eliminates that 1099. So those are the type 1 errors, and all you have to do is correct the 1099. Check the box at the top of the form, corrected, and then make whatever corrections need to be made. So again, this is it. Check the box for corrected. It's on the top of the form. If you used an account number when you were submitting these, make sure you use that same account number when you send in the correct form. And a corrected 1099 form to the recipient, get that to them, and then prepare a 1099 or a 1096 if you're filing paper. I don't believe there's hardly anybody doing it on paper anymore. If you filed electronically, you do not have to send in a Form 1096. Just send in the corrected 1099. Type 2 corrections are if you have the wrong payer information. You actually used somebody's tax ID number and the actual information was wrong. So wrong payer information, say you used your wrong EIN, you're filing for more than one company that you own, and you used the wrong TIN number, or you used the wrong business name. You have to correct that. If you have the wrong recipient information, same thing. You had a bad EIN from them, or if you had the company name was slightly wrong. We all know that sometimes people don't give you the exact name of your company, of the company that you're doing business with, and somehow they get listed incorrectly. So those would have to be corrected as well. And if you accidentally sent the wrong form, you sent a 1099 interest document instead of a dividend document. So you need to make sure you're sending the correct form. If you don't, that's a type 2 error. With type 2 errors, it's a little bit different. The first 1099, you'll have to file two. The first 1099 will be the exact same payer and recipient information as the original one that you sent that has the error in it, but you'll put all zeros in it. And check the corrected box. What that does is it'll remove that original filing for the IRS, and they will know that they're to disregard that one. Then you file a new 1099 with the appropriate information as the original form, but corrected. But you don't check the corrected box on this one. You just send in a new 1099. Send the corrected one and the new original forms to the recipient, and prepare your 1096. If you're doing it on paper, again, most of you are not. If in fact you e-filed it, you don't have to do the 1096. One thing to remember, one of the common problems here is mismatched EIN. First of all, you should be doing TIN matching before you do your 1099s. I would always recommend that you do TIN matching every year, because your vendors change. The people who you're sending 1099s to likely change every year. So make certain that you verify that data before you start filing. That can cause all kinds of trouble. And if you start getting a notice from the IRS that you filed an incorrect TIN number, you need to respond to that quickly, or you can suffer some pretty ugly repercussions. If you file the wrong TIN number 2 years in a row, they can actually force you to prepay your withholding at the beginning of the year before anybody's actually paid. So make sure you respond to those notices. When you get to ACAs, these are, again, the most common errors. There are others that are possible, but again, if you fail to enter a safe harbor code on the 1095C, that's line 16. Everybody has to have a safe harbor code, because if you don't, you open yourself to all kinds of issues. Essentially, a safe harbor code, what it does is part of what you're reporting when you're doing an ACA form is you're estimating their household income. Well, you don't know their household income. So the safe harbor code allows you some leeway and gives you protection about accidentally or just inadvertently using the wrong information in order to calculate their plan. If you incorrectly indicated failure to offer coverage, so you didn't offer somebody coverage, but you put in the document that you did, you do need to make sure you get that corrected. Failure to indicate transitional relief. So if you're asking for relief, and again, you'll have to look at these things and get some advice from your provider. But if you're looking for transitional relief from somebody who's been hired during the course of the year, or you've changed your provider and changed the plan during the course of the year, you'll need to make sure that all that information is correct. If you're filing 1095Bs, where you're filing for self-insured, and you fail to report all the covered individuals and have TIN numbers for all of those people, social security numbers or TIN numbers. If you fail to file and furnish an ACA form in a timely manner, so you just didn't get it done on deadline, you didn't get it done, there's a grace period. But if you fall outside that grace period, make sure you get that. You'll have to file corrections. And then failure to complete the form 1094C or 1095C. If you don't do it at all, again, you'll have to file corrections if you're outside of the grace periods. So if you just have a 1094 problem, so it has to do with just you, as the employer, your information that you're providing. Again, check the X, put an X in the corrected box. This is similar to 1099s. There isn't a separate form. It's the same form. You just have to mark it with an X. You just go ahead and file that information. If you are not the authoritative transmittal, you don't do it. If you have your vendor or your provider doing this information, they have to file a correction. You can't file it for them. So whoever the authoritative transmittal entity is, that's who has to file that form. So make sure the appropriate group is filing it. And then corrections to 1095s, again, you'll need to file a fully completed 1095C, including the corrected information. Check the box, corrected. File a 1094. Don't mark that corrected, but just make sure you've sent the 1094 with it. That's assuming the 1094 is correct and you don't have any issues with that. You're just fixing an employee document, so you file that separately. And then you've got to provide that copy to your employee and make sure they have that information. Again, I would really recommend that when you get involved with fixing things on an ACA form, if you have somebody in-house who's an expert at it, that's great. Make sure they're educated and they can handle that process. If you're having your provider do it, make sure that your providers take care of that. If you are doing it with some advice from your provider or from an outside third-party expert, get advice, because the more you compound errors, the more difficult it gets to correct them. You know, the scary thing about dealing with federal agencies is finding the right person. And every time you call, you get a different person. And so you really can get bogged down in their communication failures. So use your experts, make sure that the information is correct when you send it through. That's me. If you have any questions, go ahead and get a hold of me at bruces@atrix.com. I'll be happy to help you out. If you happen to be using one of our solutions that we are partnered with, we're partnered with over 60 different payroll solutions out there. You can jump in and give us a call. Go to the support tabs. If you're looking for a solution on your own, you can go to atrix.com and click on the WeFile link, and we can help you with things there. So thank you again for taking a few minutes out of your day. Hope this gives you at least a starting point on what to do for corrections. And check out the rest of our content. We have a pile of it out there now on YouTube, and we hope it's helpful for you. Thanks again.